All right, everybody, welcome to week 32, the Friday, Monday, Wednesday, 30 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, program design review. This week, you'll notice when we go around 4 times at 30 seconds, you will see more unilateral exercises to one side than you normally do, because people get the opportunity to do 2 sets to each side. They don't have to do that switch on the third round. I threw in the energy lineup as a suggestion. Just kind of creating that energy from the beginning that will continue on into the finisher in the end. So you got some good bookends, right? Remember, as we go through this, the yellow highlights are giving you a purpose at each station. The red may be a song that you would play, or even not necessarily a song, but a sound enhancement, or maybe even stuff that you might say. So the dumbbell power clean to press, as Jeremy points out in the video, there's a greater range of motion on this. So with power movements, you challenge the weight. It should not be easy to get up there, and it should involve the whole body, the hips to bring it up, the legs to press it up. So you're challenging the range of motion on this one. And when Cindy and I have fun together on this, let me stop my share just really quick, because I want to make sure that as I share sound. I know people have reported in the past that was an issue in these recordings. So Cindy might go ahead and throw the dumbbells up over her head, and that's that sounds like a little Thor incident going on there. But so whatever works in your facility, it gets our members smiling. Let me pop back over to here, and I am going to cast too, because my group lost my cast as we're sitting here together. All right, and we are casting the whole screen. All right. So that's just one suggestion. That's why it says Thunder. It's not the song Thunderstruck. It's just a little sound enhancement that you can find on your Apple iTunes. The Bosu side plank thoracic rotation. With all good side planks, your shoulders are stacked. Think of it as the client has 2 panes of glass, one on one side and one on the other. Like in the top part of that position, they should be not leaning either way to where it could, break that glass. Now, sure, they're going to rotate, but what I found is that the rotations can get quite sloppy and they never return to stacked, right? So it should be like shoulder stacked, rotate, return to stacked, right? So you can even come along and give them those guides to make sure that they are properly stacking their shoulders. So that would be your important purpose over there, to make sure that they have good form on their side plank. Green highlights. Remember, green highlights mean this may be the station that you want to start with, because in your extraordinary coaching checklist, the key 3 is the most awkward station, most awkward client, or someone that you haven't had contact with yet. So this station can be a little difficult because you're learning to swing and then clean. The hip hinge, I say hip hinge, you say hooray, right? Bringing their attention to the station, making them understand that there's a hip hinge. There is a swing involved. If you want to have some, hip swing song, that's Savage 24 seconds in. Then the next one is the vert ball step up slam. This is a power and pace activity. So you're coming up out of that reverse lunge into that slam. So I would be challenging both their pace and for them to get a good slam out of it. This one is also green because it's an even more awkward station. So if you have 2 coaches on the floor, then you can choose to both go in different directions. If you are the only coach on the floor, then you're going to have to go the TRX first, because anybody that's putting their feet in the TRX handles, which at Journey makes them fandles, that they're going to need your help. Most of them will. Some Jedis don't, but most of them will. And then from there, you'll challenge the range of motion. And I would say teach the proper push-up, right? Because now that their feet are elevated, you are in a very compromised position for your shoulders, right? You put more weight on there than you normally do. So when we teach a perfect push-up, right, the elbows are in and tight to the body, right? And that the hands are right underneath, and that they're holding their core tight, and that they're not letting their hips sag. So all these things are very important, especially if we're going to challenge them to have a greater intensity than normal. Like we used to do that when we had our push-up testing. We'd be like, okay, everybody, today we are going to teach you the perfect push-up, right? So our elbows would be in, right? And our core would be held tight, and that we would come down nice and slow. And then everything's touching all at once, right? It's not like I got to my hips first, or, like this, I left my butt behind. It's everything together. And I wasn't out here either with my elbows. Because even though you may see that in military push-ups, certainly more compromising for the shoulders than to have everything in tight. So it's like a nice, you're one packed unit right there. I'm not sure if that sounded good, but either way, that's what you want. All right. Then on to circuit two. Dumbbell single leg deadlift with a row. Whenever we're doing single leg stuff, it's always like a WTF, what's the focus? We're challenging them to square the hips. Of course, this can have a lot of options to it, right? They can even step back because leaning is the beginning of balance training. When you're putting the majority of your weight on one foot, you're still challenging your balance. So give them permission to do it. They don't need to spend their whole time falling and trying to get there if it's not working for them. Also, if they need that back support, it can be a 3-point row, but that was shown in the videos. The Bosu skaters, definitely a green highlight here. Oof, that's going to be a challenging one. And this is one where I say, practice it before you coach it, right? Don't let that morning when you come into work be the first time that you're trying this Bosu skater, because you're essentially hopping laterally back and forth to the Bosu 3 times and shuffling across and doing the same thing again on the other side. And there's a lot of options. You don't have to shuffle across if that's not for you, and different things you could do. You could even eliminate the Bosu. But if you do it the way that's shown in the video, you should practice it before you coach it, and then be sure to coach somebody else through that same technique. The kettlebell blast off to snatch. I highlighted in orange. Orange highlights mean let's discuss it. Let's talk about if we're teaching to the majority or to the minority. Because while I love minorities, I'd like to coach the majority. And I'm not sure if my majority is hopping through the squat thrust and landing that snatch as Cam, I think it was Cam, did in the video. So if not, then maybe we're talking about a walking through the squat thrust, going to the curl and to the press. You decide if the majority of your people are good with the squat thrust snatch. If not, do the option first, which is the to walk it back, walk it forward, or even squat thrust it back, squat thrust it forward, but getting that curl and then that press, because the snatch is a difficult movement. Snatch by itself, it's going to be tough for a lot of people, especially, the older we get, the more shoulder issues and things we seem to encounter. Just how it goes. I'm going to take my wife tomorrow to get her shoulder checked on. Going to put her in the shop and get an oil change and a tune up and see what we can do for her, but so these things just come from my age and experience and the people that are my peers. All right, so then the vert ball side lunge to single leg double rotation. Again, a balance challenge, a unilateral activity. When we do side lunges, we coach the foot position. We want them both feet to be on the same track, right? We always talk about skiing. We don't want like one ski going that way. Once, that's an accident waiting to happen. You'll be a yard sale soon. So what's the focus? Tell them to hold their core tight as they get that rotation, helping them with the balance. If they have a focal point, that will also help with their balance. If they're really good, make them realize the importance of a focal point. Tell them to close their eyes and try it. When I get those Jedis, I'm like, you want to understand the importance of proprioception and how much that's helping you right now? Close your eyes and try this. They're like, whoa, I was all over the place. Right. So, but you can, that is just another way to level it up. The next one is also green, TRX split squat to cross body row. This is green because people are going to have a tough time learning how to do that. You're reaching across your body, you're rowing yourself in, your body's perpendicular to the TRX. When you drop into that split squat, it's your inside leg that's dropping down, right? So they're going to have to really make sure that they're in that right foot position and right angle. And it may not be for everybody. Some people get very scared at the TRX of doing something that's only a single arm, and that's fine. They can do a TRX squat and row with both hands. But it's technical, so coach the movement. That's your purpose at each station. And when it comes to this finisher, have fun with it. Master the mix of clock and controlling the group. I used to feel like in my spirit, in my coaching spirit, I think in the deepest part of my soul, I must still be a coach, because it's like I feel like my spirit's talking to me and like, Travis, it doesn't make sense that we're still telling them to go, go, go when it says, now wait a minute. And I'm like, maybe we should wait a minute. And maybe that's the cue for the coach to blow their whistle and step in and say, yeah, wait a minute. You're doing a squat rather than a squat, right? So let's get down in that iso squat that we're supposed to do that, right? And as the music starts to come back up, we can start to pick back up our pace once again, and we'll return to the clock. And then when you get to the end and you start to have the callbacks, hey, when that stuff's happening, you tell everybody, now throw your balls in the middle, all right? Just the jam balls, just throw the jam balls right into the middle. And then what we're going to do now is that when it says shout, I want you to turn it into a jump squat, right? Like, and up to you, artistic interpretation. You want some people to hang on the balls and jump with the ball, it can be like a free throw shot, it's still fine. But I would encourage you to take advantage of those callbacks and how you can say that you're in charge as a coach. The clock is not in charge. You're in charge. So that clock was doing a good job, kind of doing the hot potato game. Okay, 10 seconds, let's run in place and let's press the ball and all that kind of stuff. Fine. But when it seems appropriate to tell the group, hey, hold on a second, let me blow my whistle and let's get refocused and let's squat down. And then when we're doing the callbacks at the end, it's like shout, which we all, if anybody's been to a dance, right, that that's the part where people are really hopping around the room and they're jumping up and down. So take advantage of it. So my encouragement to have fun with this is to say, be a mixture of clock and coach on this, be like, use your intuition for those spots. And there it is. So that is the Friday, Monday, Wednesday review. Let me stop this here real quick. I'll put in that